Very rarely does my wife get excited when I tell her I have a guest on. But I told her I was going to have Chuck Todd, moderator of NBC's Meet the Press and the NBC News political director. She was all excited last night as we watched the commander-in-chief candidate forum last night on NBC. And my wife was like, I'll turn in tomorrow. I like when you don't talk sports. And I said, Chuck knows sports, too. I'm bringing him on for a bunch of stuff. So Chuck Todd's joining us. First of all, you're based in D.C. You're a diehard baseball fan. Steven Strasburg returns from the DL last night, elbow soreness, leaves in the third inning with a sore elbow. Are you completely freaking out?
Yes and no. I wasn't counting on Strasburg to be there for the playoffs, right? It was sort of a bonus. You feel as if I think this team goes as far as Max Scherzer takes them in the playoffs. I think he's got the capability to beat Bumgarner, Oral Hershiser, or whatever. Names a pitcher that can do that, right? Put a team on their shoulders. He looks like he can do that. Strauss has never shown that ability yet. He's been that's great. What Zach Greinke was to the Dodgers last year. Oh, that's great. Kershaw, but that's awesome. And that's the way I feel about Strauss. I'll tell you this. I'm having this feels like Cubs fan must have felt 15 years ago with Kerry Wood.
Yeah. Right?
You invested all this money, and it may be Strasburg has an arm that can only handle closing. And that's my fear. I talked to a baseball guy 5 years ago who said this to me. He knows a lot more about baseball than I do. He said his mechanics are going to give him problems. He might be better off being a closer. And I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that looks like it now. Chuck Todd joining us. Segueing to Trump, he said something last night that made me mad. I turned to my wife. I said, this is a clown show. He said, the best thing we can do is set up a court system within the military. And I turned to my wife and I said, we actually have one. It bothered me.
By the way, all you had to do was watch it. If you watch cable by accident, once a day you come across a few good men.
For people who cover this, you're in a very delicate situation. You're not supposed to take sides. I am now angry that this is potentially our president and is not taking it seriously. Is there anger among the press?
Well, that's what it is. That's exactly my feeling here. And I am upset when I feel as if somebody isn't working as hard to run for the job as we are for covering the people who are trying to get the job. And it's like, I know that I would be fired if I didn't know it was a military court system, okay? And I went on Meet the Press and, asked the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, have you ever thought about setting up a military, right? I would get laughed out of Meet the Press and I would be fired, okay, for incompetence. And so when he does those things, it has nothing to do with ideology. It has nothing to do with left, right. It is simply, wait a minute, are you taking this seriously? Are you studying? I know one of the underrated answers that he gave, when I say underrated, undercovered part that I think should be more disturbing to folks is when Matt Lauer asked him, what are you reading? How are you preparing for, to learn about subjects you don't know as much about? Nobody's expecting you to know this stuff over the last 20 years, but what have you done? Are you reading certain authors? And there's a lot of good, obviously tremendous books out there about the Middle East right now. You would think, insult my intelligence enough to lie to me. Lie to me and say you're reading a couple of different books. Lie to me and say you're reading book X by this guy or book Y by this person. The idea that he isn't even doing that, you're just like, well, wait a minute, are you taking this seriously? So that part, absolutely. I think that's when journalists bristle. You're like, wait a minute, I have to work this hard to learn this stuff. Why aren't you?
Matt Lauer's getting clobbered. He was too soft on Trump. Do you buy it? Is it fair?
Here's the thing. We are living in a time where if you don't because I live this every day, every hour, you just watch my Twitter feed and you'll see it. But if you don't make Clinton or Trump cry or say, when do you go into jail or when do you go into your insane asylum, if you don't ask them those two questions, you're in the tank. You're too soft. I think people are so fanatical in their anger about both candidates in various ways that you can get yourself into a no-win situation.
Do you believe, the debates are going to go head-to-head with the NFL, and one of the candidates has not liked that. Can you give me some insight how those dates are decided, and do candidates have any say-so on when they land?
They don't. Look, this Presidential Debate Commission, and to their credit, they do try to take everything into account. Don't forget what October is filled with. So October, you run into baseball playoffs. September, you have the Jewish holiday. Throw in now 9/11 remembrances. Throw in the fact that Labor Day is a week late. So they try to balance all this out. Now the NFL is on 3 days a week, not just, they have 3 nights now, Sunday, Monday, and Thursday, right? This wasn't a regular thing even 4 years ago, the Thursday night business like this. So if you just say to yourself, okay, you can't do it on a night of baseball playoffs and you can't do it on a night that the NFL is, then you're looking at Saturday or Friday. Then again, you're running into high school football and college football. That'll make people mad. Or only Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And it's just logistically, that's the challenge. So I empathize with the folks over there. They put one on a Monday night. Yes, that's up against Monday Night Football, but come on, Colin, you and I both know the Monday night games ain't the best games anymore. The Sunday night games. They do have a Sunday night game, and I think, I'll be honest, I lobbied hard at the debate commission. I said, please find another day. I said, this is, Sunday night. I mean, what are you doing? That said, I actually think the NFL, every 4 years, it wouldn't kill them to say, you know what, we won't do a Monday night game. We're going to put the country first. It wouldn't kill them to move up the time. 4 years ago, they did. Barack Obama announcement speech, the convention was going to fall. His acceptance speech was going to fall on the Thursday, on this night, this very night, kickoff night, football opening night of the NFL season. And remember, the NFL moved it up a day to not compete with the President of the United States. So I do think here, as much as you want to say that I actually think the NFL it wouldn't kill them once every 4 years if they lost one of their primetime nights.
Yeah. I got about a minute and a half left. I got to throw this out. You're a baseball guy. Tebow to the Mets. Your initial takeaway in 40 seconds.
I only wish Steinbrenner were alive, because you and I both know Steinbrenner wouldn't have let the Mets do this. Be our son. He'd have done it. And as somebody who enjoys hating the Florida Gators and hating all New York teams, I love this. But by the way, go Tebow. I wish people would stop ragging on him. I mean, so the guy's got a dream. Let him dream. Let him work hard at it. I got no problem with him doing it. I'm enjoying rooting against a New York team with Tebow on it. That'll be fun.
We're going to have a busy few months. I lean on you often. Chuck Todd, moderator of NBC's Meet the Press, NBC News and political director. And I appreciate you giving us 5 minutes when you are, for the next 4 to 5 months, you're an accountant in April, and we appreciate you stopping by.
I will put the green eye shades on now. Thanks.
Thanks, Chuck.